Do you know how special it is for me to be here with you? I've never been to New Zealand before. I've always wanted to come. And so I just want to thank each and every one of you for giving me a reason to come to New Zealand, and more so, to fill your hearts. As I've been with many of you in the back of the room and down the aisle and just feeling your hearts. It's incredible. You may have heard her talk about the energy in this room. It's all coming from you and the love that each of you have for one another and for these beautiful essential oils. So as we've been touring around, it's been my pleasure to bring all the information that we talked about at convention to Australia and New Zealand. Now, it's been a pretty hard task because there were 3 days worth of science and education and new product launches and a lot of inspiration. And so it's impossible to take 3 days worth and try to digest it into 2 hours. But we're going to do our very, very best, all right? But I want to share with you a little bit of my story and kind of how I came to know essential oils 20 years ago. So this is my family, except for the guy in the middle. He doesn't belong with the family, but that's Vishnu from Nepal. But this was my family as we arrived in Nepal last summer to do some service work there. And the reason I chose this family picture rather than one that was professionally taken is because this one is the most meaningful to me, just because of the experience that we were able to have there. But when I was first introduced to essential oils, this boy here, who is now 24 in just a couple of days, it's hard to believe, and that little girl over there on the left, who is now 21, both of whom are now married. You can believe that. I don't know how in the world that happened, because I'm not old enough to have married children. And I told them that they definitely need to make sure they're practicing plenty of birth control, because I'm not ready to be a grandma yet. I do ask on a regular basis. But she was a year old, he was 4. And I had started working for this funny little essential oil company. And honestly, I wondered what in the world I had gotten myself into. And I had these little bottles of oil. Can you hear me in the back? Is the sound doing okay? So I had these little bottles of oil, but I didn't know what to do with them. I'd grown up using herbs, but essential oils were very foreign to me. My little girl got a fever of 104, and I couldn't take care of it using Western medicine. And I started getting nervous because the fever wasn't reducing at all. And I knew that either we needed to go to the emergency room, or I could try that little bottle of peppermint oil that had been sitting on my counter that I hadn't even cracked open. And so I decided to give it a try, put a little bit on her abdomen, a little bit on the bottoms of her feet, and I watched that temperature come within normal range within minutes. But I wasn't convinced it was the peppermint. It couldn't possibly be, right? It had to have been the medicine that I had been giving her and finally kicked in. So I started reading about essential oils. I wanted to understand their chemistry, to understand how they work, if they work, right? I was the world's biggest skeptic. But my son at that time had chronic ear infections, and so I decided, let's give him a try and see if they really might work for him. So I took a drop of tea tree, a drop of lavender, put them on a cotton ball, and placed the cotton balls in his ear. And I watched my son, who had been screaming because he was in so much pain, soothed within minutes. And by the next morning, the redness and the swelling, which normally took 7 to 10 days after being on an antibiotic, completely gone. I hadn't used any Western medicine this time. I had only used oils. At that time, I thought, okay, there's something to this. There's something that I need to understand. So I started researching more, right? Couldn't get enough. And of course, how many of you have had an embarrassing oil experience? Any of you? Yes? All right, I'm going to share with you my embarrassing oil story, okay? Because it hasn't been just, roses the entire time. Sometimes we learn the hard way. So I had cracked my tailbone for like the 3rd time in my life. I'm a little bit clumsy. And I was in a lot of pain, right? And so I read that wintergreen was great for bone pain. I'm like, all right, let's give this a try. So I got out of the hot shower, and I proceeded to put a few drops in my hand. I thought, a little bit of oil worked for my children. I'm big and I'm in a lot of pain, so I need a lot of oil. And so I proceeded to put more and more oil until I had about a half a bottle of wintergreen in my hand, right? And remember, I'm fresh out of a hot shower, so those capillaries are pumping, right? And I slapped it on my tailbone, and that oil ran down. Now, obviously, many of you have used wintergreen oil, and you know of its warming effect, right? So that oil ran down. I began to run around the house. I was not yet closed, and I'm grateful no one else was home, looking for something to alleviate that warm sensation that I was feeling. Now, remember, I knew nothing about oils at this time, so I tried water. But water and oil don't mix, do they? No, that didn't work. It just made it worse. So I wasn't very healthy 20 years ago, so the only oil that I had was Crisco oil. They have Crisco oil here, right? So pulled Crisco oil out and finally got some relief. So I learned a couple of things that day. One, essential oils are very potent, right? They're very concentrated. They deserve to be respected. A little bit goes a long way. Don't apply them directly out of the shower, and certainly don't apply them near sensitive regions in the body. But essential oils have changed my life. They've empowered me as a mother. They've allowed me to make those decisions that I've always wanted to make for myself and for my children. I didn't realize at that time that I had given that right away. I had given that right to the doctors who were taking care of my children rather than teaching them to listen to their bodies, for me to listen and to know that I had a choice, that I could choose natural solutions first. Now I'm on a mission. I am so passionate. I want every single person to have those tools at their fingertips, to know that they have that right and then take that power back. So my favorite quote in the whole world is this one: "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams."